From a dimly lit little stage in New Orleans, Ellen DeGeneres took her first steps. Steps that seemed uncertain at first, yet slowly transformed into the kind of footprint that would shake the world of entertainment. She broke through waves of rejection, rose again after being knocked down, and climbed to the very peak with a bright smile that made millions feel as though they knew her personally. Year after year, her reign grew like an untouchable kingdom. The dancing, the laughter, the mantra of "be kind," it all became a spell that captivated anyone who watched. But behind the curtain, something began to move, subtle, almost inaudible, yet powerful enough to make the foundations of that perfect image tremble. And as the curtain slowly drew back, a single question emerged, sharper than any rumor, more unsettling than the biggest scandal. Are you truly ready to see what a legend looks like when the mask begins to fall? Imagine a small club in New Orleans in the 1980s. The lights dim, the chairs creaking, and the air heavy with cigarette smoke that hangs like a curtain. On a wooden stage that looked older than its audience stood a slender woman with eyes far too honest for the entertainment world, Ellen DeGeneres. A microphone in her hand was often uncooperative, sometimes buzzing, sometimes dying completely. But she kept speaking, and from that awkwardness, a kind of humor was born. Raw, unpolished, but irresistibly real. Ellen wasn't trying to become a great comedian. She was simply trying to survive. Yet the world began to notice her, even before she noticed herself. Every laugh echoing in that smoky room was a small step toward a much bigger stage. Of course, the road was never smooth. The stand-up industry at that time was a brutal world, made even more brutal for a woman. But Ellen didn't back down. Night after night, she performed in tiny bars, collecting laughter, the way someone saves up dreams. And then came the moment that altered her destiny. Someone from the television industry saw her set, saw something different, something that couldn't be taught. Authenticity. From there came the invitation, the kind only a handful of comedians ever receive, to perform on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. And Ellen's moment on that show was more than just a performance. It was an official coronation. When Carson gestured for her to join him on the legendary couch, a gesture considered sacred in the world of comedy, it was like being crowned by the king himself. From that night onward, Ellen was no longer just a comic from a rundown bar. She became a nationally recognized name. That success propelled her into the realm of sitcoms, and thus Ellen was born. The show wasn't just situational comedy. It showcased Ellen as herself, honest, funny, awkward, yet deeply relatable. But the series reached a turning point that would forever change television history when Ellen decided to do something no primetime lead had ever done. She came out, not just in real life, but through the character she played. The episode became a cultural explosion. Some hailed it as revolutionary. Others condemned it as a threat to social norms. American television had never seen anything like it. Ellen broke boundaries, forcing conversations that had long been avoided.
But in the entertainment world, courage often arrives with a price tag too steep to imagine.
And that price arrived faster than anyone expected. After the Coming Out episode aired, public support transformed into a nationwide debate. Sponsors pulled out. Some stations refused to broadcast the show. Pressure from conservative groups intensified. And when the storm grew stronger, the industry did what it always does to someone considered too risky. It stepped away. Ellen the sitcom was canceled. Job offers stopped. The world that once greeted her with applause now disappeared, leaving Ellen standing on an empty stage. Ironically, she lost her career not because of scandal, not because of cheap controversy, but because she told the truth about who she was. In that darkest period, Ellen witnessed another side of the industry she loved. A side quick to elevate talent, but even quicker to abandon it when it no longer fits a convenient narrative. Yet from this collapse, a seed of rebirth was planted. Because the very decision that cost her her career, her courage to reveal her identity, eventually became a symbol for millions of others. A door swung open, and though Ellen herself was thrown into the storm, the world changed because of her step. And from that lowest point emerged a question that stirs curiosity and sparks debate even today. How could a woman whose honesty destroyed her career later rise and conquer American television as if she had never fallen at all? After years of silence, years when cameras collectively seemed to refuse to turn toward her, Ellen DeGeneres suddenly resurfaced. Not as a comedian searching for a stage, nor as a sitcom star who had lost her space, but as someone carrying an entirely new kind of energy. And her rebirth began with a format she had never fully explored before: the talk show. The Ellen Show became her first experiment, a test to see whether the public was still willing to hear her voice. Though the show didn't last long, the seed had been planted. Television executives saw something different in her: sincerity that couldn't be manufactured, spontaneity that couldn't be scripted, and a rare ability to make people feel safe with nothing but a single smile. From that seed, something far bigger and almost magical began to take shape: the Ellen DeGeneres Show, a phenomenon that would change the landscape of daytime television. When her new talk show debuted in 2003, the world welcomed it in a way that rarely happens to someone who had once been erased by the industry. Ellen filled the screen not just with conversation, but with an atmosphere that felt like a second home for viewers. She introduced the persona that would become legendary: kindness. Be kind to one another wasn't just a tagline, it was an identity she stitched into every episode. The way she spoke, the way she listened, even the way she danced, awkward yet irresistibly charming, seemed to flow from a character she crafted for the world: warm, gentle, comforting. In an era of television dominated by conflict and drama, Ellen appeared like an oasis, offering lighthearted laughter and small pockets of hope amid the noise of everyday life. And her rise did not come slowly. It exploded. In just a few years, the Ellen DeGeneres Show transformed from a new program into one of the most influential talk shows in America.
Every day, millions watched Ellen dance her way onto the stage, a dance that became a global signature. Viral compilations conquered the internet, guests leaping out of boxes in fright, clever pranks, heartfelt help for those in need, and surprises that left audiences in tears. Hollywood stars, world-famous musicians, legendary athletes, even global political figures flocked to appear on her show. And most strikingly, every time Ellen gave gifts, offered help, or simply shared a hug, the public saw her as the embodiment of kindness itself. In the world of SEO, she became a living keyword for kindness, positivity, feel-good TV. But behind all that success, one question always lingered. A question that fueled constant debate. Was Ellen truly as kind as the camera portrayed? Many believed she was a symbol of hope, especially for communities that once watched her fall for her bravery. She became living proof that someone could be destroyed completely and still rise to even greater glory. But every legend has two sides. While the public adored her, some wondered, was the kindness persona genuine, or was it a brilliantly crafted brand? Behind the stage, far from the lights, in rooms never touched by cameras, what truly held this empire together? That question hovered like a shadow beneath the perfect image she presented every day.
Yet one thing is undeniable. At the height of her success, Ellen was no longer just a host, she was a cultural phenomenon. She didn't just make people laugh, she made them feel. In a world of television filled with pretense, she brought something that seemed authentic. Or at least, that's what the world believed. She became the symbol of an unexpected comeback, a figure who transformed her reputation from an industry outcast into the queen of daytime TV. But amid all that beauty, a faint tension began to form, one that existed long before the public noticed. Something trembled beneath the smile that seemed too perfect, too consistent, too unshakable. And it is here that the grand narrative began inching toward a far more complicated chapter, one that would make the world ask, can a persona built on kindness survive when the curtain finally begins to open? While the cheers of the audience and the thunderous applause echoed day after day on the Ellen DeGeneres show, whispers began slipping quietly behind the studio curtains, rumors that the story wasn't as smooth and kind as the world believed. Reports emerged one after another, suggesting that behind the warm smile broadcast to millions, there was a working environment that was harsh, high pressure, sometimes cold, and at times heartbreakingly cruel. It was as if a shadow had begun to grow behind the light, a small crack at first, widening with every passing week. The rumors began as tiny murmurs. Staff who felt undervalued, exhausting work hours, presentations that were never good enough, subtle intimidation from management, stories initially dismissed as typical industry complaints, but when woven together, they formed a disturbing pattern. Former employees began speaking out, anonymous names appearing in interviews, voices breaking with exhaustion and disappointment, describing how the beloved "be kind" persona rarely, if ever, felt real behind the scenes. In the hyper-reactive world of social media, the phrase "toxic workplace"
swiftly attached itself to Ellen and her production, and viewers who once adored her now wondered, had everything we seen all these years been nothing but a mask?
The pressure did not relent. Major media outlets launched independent investigations. Article after article was published, detailed testimonies describing how staff were treated, the suffocation of ideas, intimidation, countdown-style pressure, even veiled threats to their careers if they dared to complain. Producers and high-ranking managers were scrutinized. Undeniable accounts revealed that the backstage culture was far from friendly or supportive. In the midst of the public uproar, Ellen released statements, first dismissive, then acknowledging the need for internal evaluation. Yet the question hung heavily in the air. Was this acknowledgement sincere, or merely a rhetorical shield to calm the storm?
But the storm could not be avoided. As story after story spilled into the public, the reputation of the Ellen DeGeneres show began to crumble. Sponsors pulled out, networks questioned the value of backing a tainted brand. Guests who once competed for a spot on the couch began distancing themselves from the controversy. And eventually, the inevitable decision was made. The daytime pillar of American television would end. The official announcement hit the media like a quiet earthquake. Scripted management statements, polished public apologies, a short video of Ellen looking unmistakably worn. Audiences who once adored her debated fiercely. Did she deserve to fall? Had her carefully crafted persona been fragile all along?
But this downfall was more than just the end of a career. It was the climax of the sharpest irony in Ellen's story. That someone can build a world filled with smiles and encouragement, yet failed to sustain honesty and harmony within their own house. The question that once whispered in the background now roared loudly. Can kindness sold on television survive when the people who make that kindness possible claimed they were hurt by it? And behind all these cracks, we learn a painful truth. Even the greatest legends are vulnerable to the shadows unseen by cameras. Shadows that, once illuminated, can shake the entire kingdom built upon a single mantra: be kind.
When the final episode of the Ellen DeGeneres show aired, the studio felt like a strange blend of farewell and judgment. The lights that had illuminated Ellen for nearly 2 decades dimmed slowly, leaving behind echoes suspended in the air. Not triumphant applause, not the usual cheers, only a silence that reminded everyone that something monumental had just collapsed. For some viewers, it was an emotional ending to a beloved era. For others, it was the long-delayed consequence catching up with a persona once believed to be untouchable. And no matter where you stood, one thing was undeniable. Ellen's reputation would never return to what it once was.
The downfall did not stop with the end of the show. A reputation once dazzling began to shatter like glass slammed against a stage. The entertainment world, once eager to crown her the queen of daytime television, stepped back. Producers moved cautiously. Networks kept their distance.
and major agencies no longer positioned Ellen as the poster child of kindness and positivity. A reputation no longer aligned with kindness and positivity, but with scandal, toxic workplace, and controversy. A brutal yet inevitable transformation. A phenomenon that left the public asking, was a single crack enough to bring down an empire? Or had that empire been crumbling from within long before the scandal came to light?
The impact ran deeper than ratings and commercial deals. Ellen's relationship with the entertainment industry transformed drastically. Celebrity guests who once adored her now chose silence. Some subtly avoided mentioning her name in interviews. And industry professionals, those behind the cameras, the producers, writers, and executives, began questioning what they had never dared to question before. Was Ellen's persona a reflection of who she truly was, or merely a costume crafted for the camera? The entertainment world, forever hungry for a new storyline, suddenly regarded her as an outdated chapter. And for anyone who lives by the spotlight, this is the harshest blow of all. Not the fall, but being forgotten. And what of Ellen herself? Amid the storm, she tried to appear composed, making select appearances, offering clarifications, attempting to reshape the narrative. She spoke of the challenges of being a public figure, of misunderstandings, of personal growth. But the public, especially the hypercritical digital generation, was not easily persuaded. To some, Ellen seemed to be genuinely processing her downfall. To others, it felt like an attempt to survive a tidal wave of public opinion. The unspoken question that lingered in the air was this: was her remorse sincere, or merely one final performance, playing the role of someone who is learning from her mistakes? But perhaps the most compelling part of this saga is the echo after the fall. Because even though her show ended, Ellen's story did not vanish with it. Her downfall became a mirror for many public figures, a reminder that branding kindness cannot conceal a fragile internal reality. It was also a lesson for the industry, that modern audiences do not simply accept what appears on screen. They demand authenticity behind it. And whether you defend Ellen or criticize her, this story sparks a debate that will not fade anytime soon. A conversation that stirs a question sharper than the scandal itself. When the mask of a legend falls, are we witnessing the destruction of an icon, or finally seeing who they truly are? In the end, when the noise of controversy fades and the studio lights go dark for the final time, what remains of Ellen DeGeneres is not merely the debris of a collapsed talk show empire, but a shimmer of legacy that cannot be erased from the record of modern entertainment.
Ellen was once the awkward yet disarmingly honest comedian who conquered stages with her peculiar charm. She was once a symbol of courage when she came out at a time many considered it a career-ending decision. And she was once the smiling icon of kindness whose laughter and dancing swept across American television like a warm tide. All of that lingers, etched into the digital archive of culture, unerasable even as her image transformed into one of controversy. Her legacy is layered, never singular, neither black nor white. She is an icon that splits public opinion. To some, she is a pioneer who opened doors for LGBTQ+ visibility and for women in comedy. To others, she is a reminder that public personas can diverge sharply from private realities.
But Ellen's story is also a mirror reflecting the evolution of an era where social media reshaped the way audiences judge public figures. Once, talk shows were safe, carefully curated stages. Today, the digital world demands transparency, authenticity, and accountability. The Be Kind narrative that had once been her strongest weapon became a double-edged blade when the public felt that message failed to align with the reality behind her show's workplace doors. This is the age in which audiences don't merely watch, they investigate. They don't simply believe, they verify. And in this era, Ellen stumbled. Not because she had never done good, but because the standard for authenticity evolved faster, louder, and harsher than anyone anticipated. And from this, a grand lesson emerges. Fame is a blade that can lift you high, yet also carve open every flaw, every crack, every mistake to be judged by millions. Even so, in her downfall, we glimpse a rare humanity seldom seen in legends. Ellen did not fall as a villain, but as a human being, one with strengths, weaknesses, brilliance, and blind spots. She once changed the world of entertainment, and she also became ensnared by the world she helped build. This is the most costly lesson from her long journey, that power can illuminate, but it can also blind. That kindness can be a powerful message, but only when it is lived more deeply than the cameras can capture. And that an icon, no matter how large their name, remains vulnerable, fragile, and capable of stumbling when public expectations grow larger than what any human can carry. In the end, the question is not only what legacy Ellen leaves behind, but what we can learn from the story of a legend who burned brilliantly and then crumbled beneath the weight of her own light.